Monday Night Chat with Wong Chen.
Brought to you by the Member of Parliament for Subang.
Hi, welcome to Monday Night Chat. We're shooting from the compound of my house. We're a bit rushed this week because I got to go off to campaign over the weekend, and then on Monday I fly off very early to Singapore for an entire week of AIPA, ASEAN Inter-Parliamentary Association or something like that, where we have to discuss ASEAN matters for 5 days in Singapore. Yeah, so this is why we're a bit rushed. First segment is going to be Policy Monday, a short one. Second segment is the usual 120 seconds Q&A, and then the third one is the farewell of the 4 interns that we have. Okay, for Policy Monday this week, we're going to talk about standing committees. We've been working on this thing for about 3 weeks now. What happened is we started off with contacting the Norwegian embassy, and I know the Norwegian ambassador quite well. We met many times, so I did ask her in the passing that we're looking at the issue about standing committee. So the Norwegian embassy kindly offered to help us by showing us all the methodologies and systems that they employ in Norway. Yeah. So why do we need standing committees? It's very important to note that in Malaysia, the democracy we've been practicing for the last 60 years has no standing committees in crucial ministries. What they have is ad hoc select committees. So this is what we want to do. In the new Malaysia, we must have standing committees, which means permanent committees, permanent bodies with organization, with budget, with staffing. It should have a schedule to meet the minister at least once a month. So all this, the Norwegian are showing us a glimpse into how they organize itself. But broadly speaking, why do we need it? We need it for 4 purposes. The first purpose is to actually to form legislation, to be part of the lawmaking process. The second part is to actually prepare ourselves to be a body to check and balance the executive powers. The third purpose is to make sure that we have a continuity of government, whereby the standing committees become a platform for new members of parliament to learn about government and how ministers operate. And the fourth one is, of course, to have a focus on the budget for that specific ministry, so you're crossing into budgetary expenditure as well as legislation. Let's start with legislation. It's very simple. Legislation nowadays is done by the executive. The executive write it, they then ask us to defend it in parliament and get it passed. So basically, Malaysian parliament has been turned into a rubber stamp, and this is reflective of the parliamentary budget itself. Parliament has a ridiculous low amount of budget, 18 million a year. Yeah, the PAC, which I'm a member now, the Public Accounts Committee, has a budget close to about 300,000 a year. It's really, really small. So we are under providing for legislative work by parliamentarians. So a standing committee will allow the parliamentarians to really focus on the issue of drafting the law, hiring external lawyers coming in or talk to the Federal Council, but they manage the lawmaking process. And it's very important to note that the standing committees will have members from the opposition and the government. So every law that we pass should be consulted both sides before it's done. So if we take over the management of the legislation process or the lawmaking process, then this is ideal for Parliament to exist, where the executive and parliamentarians are separated and there's more check and balance. Yeah. The last point I really want to quickly make is about continuity of government. A lot of people think that the standing committee goes there to check the government in terms of expenditure, their budget, and also in terms of any wrongdoing or asking the ministers to reply or asking the KSU to reply. That's not really the purpose of it. I think the real purpose, the hidden purpose, is that when members of parliament become part of a standing committee, they actually engage the minister. The minister, in replying to them, is actually teaching them about how to run a ministry. So that in the future, if we topple another government, or the government topples us, or the opposition topples us, there's continuity of government. The ministers come in not completely novice and blindsided. They know what to do. Yeah. So that's why it's very important we do the standing committee, and this project is going to continue for at least another 3-4 weeks before we get a finality, and then we propose to the government a decent budget for 10 standing committees. Okay, we might follow this up next week on Policy Monday. Okay, Q&A in 120 seconds this week. We've got 5 questions. It's all quite topical, but we're shooting this on a Thursday because Friday is National Day, and then I'm off to Singapore, so there's no time. So if it's not very relevant this Monday, just bear with me. Okay, so I have 5 questions. Okay, Putrajaya appoints Petron to supply fuel to government. Of course, this has raised a lot of eyebrows because Petron is partly owned, or the son of Mate has some stake in it. We understand that this is appointing Petron to be another supplier out of 2 other suppliers, which is Petronas and Shell, but the process should be much more transparent and not leaked out as a sensational news. Number 2, JJ's wealth, the mother claims 2.1 billion. I'm not sure where he got 2.1 billion from, or maybe the mother is delusional. She is, after all, very old. We don't know, but when we were members of parliament and they were the government, JJ was known to be a powerful person that, some people say that carries the bag. Okay, I don't know what that means. Okay. Number 3, Petronas raised dividend from 19 billion to 24 billion. This is due to the rise in oil prices. So Petronas' contribution to government budget has always been quite high when prices are high and low when prices are low. So this is an additional 5 billion compared to the last budget in 2018, and this will help somewhat to reduce the deficit expected in the budget. Okay, Rahim Noor as the peace facilitator is not a good idea at all. Rahim Noor, as you know, bashed up my boss. I think it's just sending the absolutely wrong message. Now, last one, OSA. The Prime Minister wants to keep OSA. We want him to do a Freedom of Information Act. This is where the Standing Committee on Policy Monday talks about the importance of check and balance, and where we legislate, the Executive and the Prime Minister carries out. That's it for Q&A this week.
Hi! We
Oh,
are
that was
the
awkward.
interns of P104 for this batch.
Used to be after this video.
Yeah, so how has it been throughout the whole internship thing? We can start with Lian Mei. So Lian Mei, please share with us how has it been throughout the whole internship here?
Well, I was at this internship for 6 weeks, and I think it was a very interesting experience. So I would say that it was interesting in the sense that I got to do something new almost every day. So like I went to Parliament, I met constituents, I did research, I talked to a lot of different people as well. I'll definitely say that I have skills that I've improved, particularly my PM skills, something that I wasn't really good at before this, because we don't usually use it at school.
Oh, it's been great, and I genuinely mean that. Okay, I think, of course, all of us expected research work, right? Yeah, and we got a lot of that. But like beyond that, actually, we learned so many other things. One of that is dealing with people who you never meet on a daily basis. Like when the constituents come in, it's a different case for each one of them, and when you listen to their problems, it's kind of interesting too, and it opens your eyes up to things beyond your mind would think of before this. On top of that, actually, you share a valuable experience with the office mates, with the officers and the fellow interns, and I think that's something that really builds the office environment that makes you want to come back to work each day, and your motivation to do your work on a daily basis.
Okay, we'll move on to Alicia to give her thoughts on this.
Okay. I think the experience so far has been really good. I've learned a lot about public service, in the sense that working in this internship has really taught me that there's more than meets the eye when it comes to politics. That there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, so much effort, especially when it comes to the constituents, that it takes patience and it takes a lot of grit and a lot of hard work. And I think it has been a really rewarding experience, and I would encourage anybody who's interested to just go for it. Yeah.
Alright, so I'll be talking about my part for answering this question on how it has been during this whole internship. So firstly would be, we don't normally see things the way other people see. So let's say like school visits, schools have their own perspective, constituents have their own perspective on what they face on a daily basis. It's not what it all seems, because they have their own struggles, and sometimes we do not understand them well enough. So that is why these kind of school visits and handling with the constituents is where we learn the most. We feel how they feel, and it's more of putting ourselves in their shoes to see what they see and to have a feel on what they face every day. Parliament visits are very, very interesting, and we get a new light. We see a new light in terms of politics, and if I say so myself, the idols that we see, you know.
Well, you should be.
Yeah,
Idols.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so thank you.